Alright. Basically, gonna start with just giving me a background of who you are, what you've done, and what you're currently doing.
Well, I think when you feel old, you have to spend some time thinking about how to introduce yourself and what angle to come from, you know. So I think maybe the to hit the broad stuff. I grew up here in Yuma, and I grew up on a farm, a family farm, and at the time, the family farm was it was just something that kept me from being able to go to town where there was pavement where I could ride my bike easily. So I didn't really have a proper appreciation for it, and didn't really gain that until I left here and went to college. I spent a year in Gunnison, Colorado, at Western State University, or back then it was called Wasted State. I've always kind of been interested in the not normal stuff, and that was probably the first illustration of that. Just as a quick example, I told your brother about this. I actually have the plans here for a working alligator farm here in Yuma that took me and another guy. It took us 3 semesters to put this plan together. I mean, it was a big project, and like that's just not normal. That's odd stuff. And so again, that's a good example of the kinds of things that just seem, you know, most interesting to me. So I also grew up in a strong Christian home where you know, a commitment to a local church body was important, and in my I guess maybe I'll put it this way. It wasn't until I had started to mature to the point where, like, I started asking the question, you know, why am I doing this? Like this, because for a while, you know, when you don't have faith that's your own faith, those questions are a lot harder to answer, and that's not something that creates proper motivation to pursue, you know, a relationship with God, because up to that point, it's just something that you do because your family does it, and certainly there's nothing wrong with that, but there's not the power in it that God designed. So I started going to a different church than my parents when I was in high school, which I'm sure was difficult for them, but they also recognized that there was value in their son having a desire to go to church at all. And so they, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think maybe reluctantly they supported that, and at the very least they let me. And so I would say that was a pretty impactful time in my life too, from a spiritual perspective. That's the time I think that I would put my finger on as a season where my faith became my faith, and not it wasn't just, you know, knowing what the right answers were for the test. You know, that I recognize that God is a personable God who wants a relationship with me. I had met my wife, Sarah, at CSU. She transferred to CSU the same time I did, and she had I'll say a level of disdain for me initially based on my facial hair choices at that age that maybe I hadn't quite grown into yet. So anyway, eventually she saw a Christian tattoo, and that was enough to change her mind, I guess. So we got married while we were still in college, and also had a baby while we were still in college, and that was a challenging adventure, but one that it's just not hard to see the value and the joy and maybe as importantly the way that matures you. There's plenty of examples of that as well, but I guess most recently, this really has nothing to do with farming, but most recently I felt like 3 years ago God asked me, or maybe it's better to use the term invited me to do this challenge, this physical challenge that was what seemed like it actually came with a name, and the name is what we're using now, the Thousands. And the challenge was to do 1,000 pull-ups, 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 squats, and 10 miles all at once. And my very first response to that was, well, okay, but why? Again, that seems overwhelming to think about that volume, but that's not really where I come. I'm willing to do it. If we're going to do it, I'd like to have I'd like to have language to be able to talk about it in a way that is that's a reflection of peace that you can't really explain logically, and he wasn't willing to give me that answer right away. So the result of that was delay. And I don't think it was delay that was disobedience. It was just delay in that if you're going to ask me to do this, I want to know, I want to do it in the way that you want me to, and I'd like to give you plenty of opportunities to clarify. Maybe you meant something else, and that's just not the way that went. So I waited and waited and waited, and generally I would say for me, when I believe I'm hearing from God, I'll be patient and also be diligent, to continue to pray about it, and maybe specifically those prayers would be a request for, one, for confirmation, but two, for a clearer picture of what exactly was being asked and what it ought to look like. And sometimes I get those answers and it is very clear, and sometimes I don't. I decided earlier this year that I would just go ahead and commit to it, and maybe that was the impediment. Maybe I needed to commit and take a step before I would get that why answer. And so I talked to my doctor about it, shared some of my own concerns about what the risks were with that kind of volume all at once, and ultimately she listened, and we identified the things to be aware of and maybe some strategies to overcome those things, and ultimately it was this is going to hurt, but it's not going to kill you, so let me know when the next question comes up, kind of thing. And I decided at that point that I was willing to go through with this challenge and to move forward with it, and I actually wanted to, but I wasn't willing to do it without being unified with my wife, and I didn't know I didn't know how to get there or if we were going to get there. So I kind of let that rest for a while until the maintenance guy at our church passed away. Had a pretty serious heart attack, and he was going to turn 70 the week after he died. And so we were at his funeral service, and we were there early, and it was quiet and, appropriately somber, type environment. And I knew that this thousands idea, invitation, nudging, encouragement, whatever, it just wasn't going away, and I needed to find a way to be able to talk about it with Sarah in a way that was not, bulldozing her into just agreeing to go along with the thing that she really wasn't comfortable with. So in that time before the funeral service, I was asking God for an answer, is really what I was after. And the funeral started, and our pastor said, in context, the man's name was Dave. He made this statement: Dave is now in the arms of Jesus. And for some reason, I had an almost physical reaction to hearing that statement, and I said within myself, I don't think that's right. I don't think Dave is in the arms of Jesus right now. And I wasn't saying it as a challenge to my pastor. I respect my pastor. I defer to his wisdom. I allow him to pastor me, and I ask him to pastor me. So it wasn't an argument like you're wrong. It was just there's something not quite right about the way I heard that statement. And in that moment, I'm at least tempted to say, if not just flat out willing to say, that I saw into heaven, and I saw Dave, and he was jumping up and down like a sprinter would before, when they're called into the blocks, before a sprint race, and how they do, those really powerful frog jumps. And Dave was doing that, and he was surprised and excited at, this newfound energy and strength and flexibility in his new, perfected heavenly body. And he was excited. He was acting excited about it, like a little kid. And he's looking around, doing stretches and all sorts of just enjoying the fact that heaven is so awesome in that way. And Jesus was there, and he was yelling at Jesus like Jesus was his older brother, hey, come on, let's go. And there was some woods behind them, and Dave was wearing camo, and it just seemed like they were heading off like kids to go hang out and explore the woods. And Jesus was Dave's excited, and he's jumping around, and he's come on, Jesus, let's go. And Jesus is kind of, smirking like an older brother does. And he turns to go catch up with Dave, because Dave's gone already. We can still hear him yelling, but he's already in the woods or in the trees. And Jesus turns to go catch up with Dave, because he wants to hang out with Dave too, because that's what heaven's about, is being able to hang out with your Creator all the time. And Jesus looked back towards me, and he winked at me, and then he reached out and tapped me on the shoulder, and he says, let's just do that. Let's just hang out together for a while. And it became pretty obvious that was the answer that I had been asking for, and it certainly wasn't the answer I expected, but essentially the thousands was an invitation by God to spend time with him. It was an invitation to what really amounts to an act of worship, where he was inviting me to hang out with Jesus like two dudes do, doing something hard together. And so I left that service and was looking forward to the opportunity to be able to talk to Sarah about that. And I did, and she didn't react, which is telling in our marriage. When she doesn't react, then that means she's that she heard me and is prepared to respond in a prayerful and thoughtful and respectful and helpful way. And so when she did respond, she expressed support. The whole point is to accept the invitation to hang out with God for a while we're doing something hard together, and find a way to enjoy that and to maintain an attitude and a heart that's worshipful and grateful that I even have a shot at doing something illogically crazy, which is, to be honest, that part's also fun to think about too, but it's also sobering, because I'm going to turn 50 tomorrow, and that means I've had a little over a decade of my body letting me know that there are limits to what I can do safely. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm going to change this to where the rep counter is not per station in the circuit. It's at the end of each circuit. You'll just hit the rep counter, the specific exercise. It will say add. That number will already be in there, and it will add it, and then we can move on. We do much more.
1, 2, 3. And I'm going to count half a squat on the way down to push-ups. All right.
go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
99.
You can do it, Dad. That's it. That's it.
You don't even have to give a speech or anything.
Yeah, no kidding. You could if you want to.
Just thank you. Thanks for doing this with me.
Let's go. Come on now.
Go, Dad, go.
Come on. You finish got it. Let's go. Here we go. Do it. Yes! Let's go. Finish that.
1,000!
Attaboy.
Yay! Good job, Dad.
Squat number 1,000. He came up after the push-up.
Good job, Dad.
He's like, nope, I'm calling it. Atta Chad. Say pop. Well done.
So proud, Dad.
Do you want to go for a walk? What am I supposed to do?
Well, nobody hold that.
It's for him to hold. Turn that light on.
I've been working so hard to get you out of my head, but I can't stop me thinking the words that you have said. You told me that you loved me, how could I forget? Now it's spinning around inside my head. So I hold